Good morning, neighborhood. Good morning. And welcome to all members, friends, and guests to Neighborhood Unitarian Universalist Church in Pasadena. My name is Mimi Hennessy, and I'm pleased to serve as your worship associate this morning. Neighborhood Church creates and grows an inclusive community of faith connected by love, spirit, and service. Yes. We acknowledge our presence on the ancestral and unceded territory of the Gabrielino Tongva people, the traditional caretakers of the lands and waters of our campus. We acknowledge our harmful colonial histories and commit to decolonizing our own practices, to learning new ways of being in community with each other and with this land itself. Today's service is led by Reverend Dr. Omega Burkhart. Music today is led by Dr. Zenaida Robles with Wells Lang and the Neighborhood Chorus. And please take this moment to silence your devices. You do not want to be the person whose ringtone goes off in service, or even worse, in song. Families with young children are always welcome here in the sanctuary, and there's an additional play area outside for the very youngest in our narthex, not outside. For adults and older youth who don't need assistance, there is a quiet crafting table close to the organ. I have two announcements. After the service today, here in the sanctuary, we will all gather for the mid-year congregational meeting. Excuse me. Upholding our principles of democracy and our value of the interdependence and equity, this is an important part of belonging to our UU Church. And if that isn't enough for you, there are treats outside for sale today. I think they're benefiting youth, isn't it? Does anybody know? Yes. Yeah, okay. So you can indulge yourself and benefit the youth at the same time. So you can go get coffee, purchase a treat, come back in, settle down, and enjoy the meeting. Also, after the service next week, join Reverend Omega for Third Sunday Theology, actually on the fourth Sunday. The topic will be the 5 smooth stones of liberal religion. Isn't that enchanting? Who doesn't want to go to that? And we'll start reading the UUA Common Read of Social Action Now by Deepa Iyer. And if you haven't bought it yet, copies of the book will be for sale outside today between the service and the congregational meeting. Our order of service this morning is available as a link in the Sunday email and online by scanning the QR code on the back of your hymnal with your phone camera. Again, welcome to Neighborhood Church, an inclusive faith community connected by love, spirit, and service.
We gather this morning, a sacred community, a circle of people ever expanding, ever aspirational, ever changing. The circle, of course, a symbol of wholeness, of centeredness, the sun, the moon, the orbits of the atoms, charged with mission and energy. We are an ever widening circle of hope. Today we light this chalice here, not a cup so much as a vessel held by two circles or infinite circles of love, a flame kindled and fed with intention, values that uphold love in the world and the warmth of kindness in community. Before we begin our worship together this morning, I have a few announcements. I don't often get to give announcements, so relish in that for a moment. First, as many of you know, we've been working here in our gathered space to better our use of it, to make it more inclusive and accessible for everyone who joins us. So this has included historically the use of listening devices for folks who need some extra assistance. We've added to that noise canceling headphones if anybody would like something like that. We also have increased our use of doodles and fidgets because we know not everybody likes to sit still during a service. So those are always available to you on the table for our faith engagement program. Those are available for everybody, including we put some out here on this table. What we've tried to do over the past year is increase the ways in which people can gather in this space. So here are a couple of different things you might not know about. The narthex is slowly being transformed into a space for folks to sit who would prefer to sit out between the doors if you need a little space for movement, and also for our families with the youngest kiddos who need a little bit more activity and room to roam and play. And so children and families are always welcome in this space, always. But there is additional space out there if you would prefer that. Now, that space does not have staff or teachers, so we ask, as always, that parents, you remain with your kiddos. If they're not directly in class with their teachers, stay with them out there in that area. Now, there are also some art supplies and some fun things that we've migrated out into that space. So if you would prefer to play with those, that is a good place to do it. Now, we also have increased other accessible seating, so we have chairs with arms available at the end of some of the rows. And we've also purposely cut out some of the rows so that folks who have some assistive devices, such as walkers, can easily place them next to them. So as you welcome new folks into our sanctuary, that is a great place to direct people. Of course, please feel free to sit wherever you like, but that might make it a little bit easier for you. We've done that with some intention. We also have this table in the back that we're slowly transitioning into a sensory-friendly table. And this is an area, if you like to draw or you want to sit with a table in front of you, you can do that. We've put some of our finger labyrinths that we practiced a few weeks ago on that table, and there are also some quiet doodling pads there. So that is an area for quiet activity during the service. Now, we're still working on some changes here. This is, for those of you who know, this is always in process here. For example, we're working on this chancel area. It is not inclusive right now, and we know that. We will be making that better as we can. We also know that there are some changes to the choir area that we would like to make that more inclusive. We're aware of that and working on it. In all, we'd like to encourage everyone to have a little grace, but also give us input. We want to continue to grow together as a community, to figure out what works best for us as we change and grow. This is a sacred practice in a sacred space, and that will change over time. So I encourage and welcome the opportunity for conversation about it. Now, the work of this congregation is important on a bunch of levels. So we're looking at inclusivity here, but our leadership teams are also working on a project that we engage with every year, which is the pledge cycle. And you might be saying, now, Reverend Omega, I'm pretty sure pledge happens in the spring. Well, lo and behold, we're starting early. Yay! So I'm very pleased today to welcome up 2 members of this year's pledge team. The third is not able to be with us, but I'll invite Farrell and Sarah up. Kevin is with us in spirit, and they're going to give us a little preview of what we can expect this year.
So, hi everybody, I'm Farrell Menon, and this is Sarah Marcotte. And as she said, Kevin is just right over there with us in spirit at least. And we're your pledge team for the 26-27 pledge year. We're just happy to start in 25. Because as Reverend Omega said, we wanted to have time to really do it differently and we think hopefully better. Now, interestingly, I, Sarah, and also Kevin have already done a pledge drive. I've actually done 2, so it can't be so bad. Right?
Right. Because we're back for more.
Yeah. So when we ask you to help, just remember. So you're going to get more specifics in the spring. But some of you may not be. I know we have a lot of new members, and some of you may not be familiar with the whole pledge process. Well, this is the way that Unitarian churches raise their money, because they don't get any money from a national UUA. In fact, we give them money back to help our organization thrive. But it's also a time for you to renew your commitment to your beloved community through your financial support and, we hope, your volunteer support. What are we going to do differently this year? You're going to hear a little bit about it now from Sarah.
Okay, so a couple things. So for the first time in a long time, not the first time we've ever done this, but we are planning an all-member canvas. So what does that mean? That means every single person has the opportunity to meet with a member of a pledge volunteer or a member of the committee in a face-to-face or virtual meeting. So this is your time to pass information about, or to pass your ideas, your hopes, your dreams about this beloved community back to us. And of course, anything that comes up in our pledge meetings, in our face-to-face canvas, we will tell the board and the collaborative leadership team. So it's a great moment, a touch point for every person who wishes to talk about how the church is going and what they would like, what they would hope. And also, let's have some fun. So we'll be having a kickoff dinner, pledge dinner, sometime early in the spring before we really get into the pledge drive. And, we'll make sure there's opportunities for fun social events, right?
Right.
Let's have some food and fun.
And to give you some more information about the church, its finances, and a bunch of other things we're still thinking up.
That's true, because as Unitarians, we love transparency and we love to dig into the nitty-gritty details about finances, don't we?
Right.
We do. I love a budget. Oh my God. So anyway, so we will be sharing more information as we have it. We're just digging into the planning now. So check for updates from this space here and on Facebook and Instagram, and of course on the lovely church newsletter that you read every week. Thank you.
Please rise in body or in spirit and join us in singing Rise Up, O Flame, number 362. You may have noticed today's theme is circles, and so you will be hearing music that's related to circles, or actually cannons or rounds. So we will sing this in canon, we'll sing it twice in unison, and then we will sing it twice in canon, and I will help you.
I would like to invite the children and young at heart to come and join us up at the front. So today, we are going to read a book that's in both Spanish and English. We should have slides of them, but there we go. And it's a, it's a book about working together, collaboration, la colaboración, ways we work together, las formas en que trabajamos juntos, by Tomás Moniz and Alicia Dornadic. There are lots of introductory pages on this one. Okay. The way you cluck your tongue at a baby. Que tú arrullas al bebé. And the way the baby drools back. Y el bebé babea. The way the heart beats and the blood flows. Es la manera que late el corazón y fluye la sangre. The way flowers attract bees. La manera que la flor se le atrae a la abeja. And we get such sweet honey. Y juntos producen la miel tan dulce. The way a recipe works. We add things to another, and create a new thing, like cake. Es la manera que funciona la receta, cuando agregamos una y otra cosa para crear algo nuevo, como el pastel. But also, the way mistakes happen. The cake burns or tastes too salty, the way we clean up and try again. Pero también es la manera que fracasas y quemas el pastel e echas demasiada sal. Y entonces tú y yo decidimos limpiar y comenzar de nuevo. The way mouth and hand work trying to take a bite and not stab a cheek. Es la manera que la boca trabaja con la mano, bocadito tras bocadito, sin picar a la mejilla. It says stab. Well, I mean, have you ever tried to take a bite of something with a fork and accidentally stabbed your cheek? It's happened to me before. The face. Very silly. Okay. The way you turn the page and I read the words, and we dream a story. I see a story happening about some sort of party. Party. La manera que volteamos la página, yo leo las palabras mientras nosotros soñamos la historia. The way my toy plus your toy equals our adventures. Hey guys, let's not hit each other, please. Thank you. La manera que tu juguete y mi juguete crean nuestras aventuras. The way I make a silly face and you give me a wild smile. You see the silly faces? Some really silly faces. La manera que te hago una mueca y tú me sonríes felizmente. The way clouds make rain, makes mud, makes us laugh, how the rain falls down. La manera que las nubes forman, la lluvia que hace el lodo, que nos hace reír. Mira cómo cae la lluvia. And the grass grows up. Y luego el zacate crece. The way you sing the words, I make the beat. We make the music. Es la manera que cantas las palabras y yo tamboreo el ritmo y juntos hacemos música. The way the model lets the artist draw the body and so creates the portrait. La manera que el modelo deja al artista dibujar su cuerpo y así forma un retrato. The way green is born from yellow and blue. La manera que el verde nace de la unión del amarillo y azul. The way your father knits the hat, you paint the sign, and together we march the streets for all of us. La manera que tu padre teja la gorra y tú pintas el letrero y juntos nosotros marchamos por las calles en nombre de todos. The way wrestling works. La manera que se lucha, the bob, inclinado por aquí, the weave y allá. The way fingers intertwine when holding hands. The way one foot follows the other, over and over, sprinting down the street. The way we know how to stand after we fall. La manera que los dedos entrelazan mientras nos agarramos de la mano. La manera que un pie sigue al otro una y otra vez, corriendo por la calle. La manera que recordamos cómo pararnos después de caer. The way combining all of our voices can stop a bully, refuse a law, break down walls, open our beating hearts. La manera que la combinación de nuestras voces puede detener un matón, rechazar una ley, deshacer las paredes, abrir nuestros corazones vivos. The way sometimes I get scared and you get brave, and other times I'm brave when you are scared. La manera que a veces yo tengo miedo y tú te vuelves valiente, y los otros momentos cuando yo soy valiente y tú tienes miedo. The way bodies work when we hug, You lean to the left, I lean to the right. La manera que nosotros cuerpos doblan cuando nos abrazamos. Te inclinas a la izquierda y yo me inclino a la derecha. The way parents hold child, and child holds parent. Such peace, such beauty. La manera que los adultos llevan a los hijos, y los hijos llevan a los adultos. Tanta tranquilidad, tanta belleza. The way when I fall, you reach out your hand and we rise together. La manera que me extendiendas la mano cuando me caigo y nos levantamos juntos. The way she stands and he stands and they stand and I stand and we all stand together. We are indivisible. Es la manera que se presenta ella, que él se presenta y ellos se presentan y yo me presento y nosotros nos presentamos. Así que juntos somos indivisibles. Right? That's the end of our book today, about working together. All right, we're going to sing the kids out.
Each Sunday, our congregation dedicates 100% of its collection to 501c3 organizations or neighborhood church social justice activities that are making a difference in our community and the world. You can donate in one of two ways. You can donate on your cell phone by using the QR code on the screen. Or you can donate in person by using the donation boxes. There's one here, one at the back of the sanctuary, and one in the narthex. You can rise during the music to make your donation if you're making it in person. And please check around you to see if there's somebody who would like assistance in getting their donation to the box. If you wish to make a payment toward your pledge or contribute to church operations, make a note in the subject line or use one of the envelopes available at the donation boxes. This week, our gifts will support the Boys and Girls Club of Pasadena. Here with more information is Ann Lee, Director of Development.
Good morning, Neighborhood Church. Good morning. My name is Ann Lee, and I am VP of Development at the Boys and Girls Club of Pasadena. I'm so grateful and blessed to be standing in front of you all today to share more about the club and how we strengthen and serve the Pasadena community. I'll be building a little bit on the comments that our CEO, Lisa Cavalier, shared with you all last week when she attended. As she might have mentioned, the club serves about 1,500 children and youth ages 5 to 18 with year-round after-school and summer enrichment and education programs. Many of our club kids will be the first in their families to attend college. Nearly 70% of them qualify for the federal meal program, and virtually all attend local public schools. We take pride in the members we serve, and we achieve some great impacts. 100% of our club kids graduate on time from high school, and 91% of our members report that they have the ability to stand up for what's right, even if their friends disagree. But since the pandemic, we have observed that our members, especially our middle and high schoolers, walk into our clubhouses with growing needs. In the summer of 2021, 3 of our teens experienced severe mental health episodes, some requiring the support of first responders. We knew that we needed to do more. So in 2021, we established a case management program where our care coordinator staff, supervised by a licensed mental health professional, meet with youth weekly who are experiencing challenges. Our care coordinators work with them on setting personal and school goals, talk through challenging situations and relationships, and check in on their progress. They are also a bridge to connecting kids and families with additional resources beyond what we're able to provide at the club. And since the Eden fire, this need has only grown. After the fire, we observed an increase in members' behavioral challenges, and we heard from families about the challenges they're facing resulting from the loss of their homes, neighborhoods, and schools. So again, we knew we had to do more to meet our members' needs. We added a second care coordinator, and we now have on board a licensed clinical psychologist, Dr. Maria, who provides therapeutic services to kids and their families for free and in a safe environment on site. No insurance is needed. Just last month, we saw 10 members over 29 sessions. It's bittersweet that we provide this level of care for our club kids. We're privileged to be able to provide it, but it's heartbreaking that so many kids need it. Sorry. We couldn't do a lot of what we do without great partnerships around town. We receive and provide referrals in partnership with DeVille Family and Youth Services. Maple Counseling leads an art therapy program for our teens, and Young and Healthy provides on-site trauma-informed care trainings for our staff and some additional supports along the way. 1,000 Joys provides moments of mindfulness and wellness for our staff at our all-team meetings and retreats. Through all of these efforts, we hope and pray that we're doing what we can to support our Pasadena and Altadena young people during this challenging time for our community. Thank you so much for the opportunity to share with you today. And thank you so much for your generosity, which enables us to continue this much needed work. Funds raised here will support our continued mental health staffing, a critical need after some of our grant funding for mental health expired earlier this year. Thank you again so much for having me here today. God bless you all and have a great rest of your day.
Thank you for giving generously to this worthwhile organization.
Today I offer you this reading entitled Practicing Democracy. The first part are words from Adrienne Marie Brown in an interview that she gave around the time when we were leading up to the elections in 2023. And then Shea French responds with some thoughts to these words. First, Adrienne Marie Brown. We are trying to change what's at the very top of the structure, the president. But I'm like, but no one's actually practicing democracy. Do you sit down together and talk about how you're spending the resources of your home and in your community? Do you talk about how you're agreeing to keep each other safe? Do you talk about how you're agreeing to share time and who has decision-making power? And do you make those decisions together? So even the people running for office are often people who've never actually practiced democracy in a way, and they're not practicing it intimately, she suggests. Shea goes on to dialogue with this, saying, having relationships where we can speak truth to one another and disagree requires that we invest in each other. It means we must care about something bigger than ourselves, and that these are skills we get to practice every month of the year, not just in November. Each and every time we make a decision with another person or a group of people, we can practice democracy. Are we listening deeply to one another? Does everyone who wants to get to speak? Am I clear whether I'm speaking up for my own wants or needs or the good of the group? Are we following our own values? And perhaps most importantly, have we worked to build our relationships and truly know each other so we can respect each other when we disagree? And thus ends our reading.
Stands side by side.
What does it look like? Literally, what shape does it take? When leadership in a group, when relationships in a group move from linear and hierarchical to shared and collaborative. In our UU communities, we have long grappled with the expression of a democratic faith in a society that praises and sometimes even chooses authoritarianism. We have throughout our history grappled with accountability and authority. They are not the same necessarily, nor are they mutually exclusive. How do we conceptualize our leadership in community as a circle or a cluster of circles? How do we engage with this as mutual support, as mutual thriving, and center those who historically have had less say in the process? These are some of the questions we have asked in this church in the past several years, also in our broader Unitarian Universalist context, and in our world, I think. What does it mean to draw the circle wide? What does that mean? How do we make that expansive? Now, this clustering of circles is referred to by Deepa Iyer in Social Change Now as the creation and the feeding of ecosystems. And this reading I'm about to give you comes from this book that we're going to start to engage with as a community. She defines an ecosystem as a community, a home, a place, a space where we feel a sense of belonging or familiarity, alignment around our values, goals, and strategies for the future, and where we emphasize the importance of cultivating, nurturing, and sustaining relationships, connections, and solidarity. There are layers of ecosystems in our daily Unitarian Universalist lives, from our programming here at our church to living our values in the world to the leadership that we choose to have. For example, about a year or so ago, several of us embarked on a weekend journey, a conversation using the template of the UUA's Climate Justice Revival Project. This was both the culmination and a launch pad of several years of work dedicated to the exploration of ways that our values support how we engage with the human-centered, human-created, climate crisis that we're living in now. I worked alongside several leaders in the UUA over the course of several years, and then we did a weekend of programming here. It was really a joyful conversation that centered the following three questions. What does my community need? What do I have to offer? And what brings me joy? If we could see that first slide, please. So some of you may have seen, or you might remember this, we have posted a couple of places on our church grounds. The intersection here of each of these circles is where hope resides. And at the center is love. Hope resides between what my community needs and what brings me joy. I can have and experience joy when providing something that my community needs. What I have to offer when it aligns with what brings me joy, that is also where hope resides. So these intersecting circles here, all supported by and creating love in our world. Now, we revisited these circles last year on another point in January, in the weeks following the devastating fires in our region. Some of you might recall that we had a common book read last year called Psalm of the Wild-Built by Becky Chambers, in which a nature-born robot befriends a tea-serving monk in a post-climate destruction world. That was a heck of a sentence. Some of you hopefully remember that book, but some of you might not. It was a difficult time in our congregation as we were grappling with the effects of the fires. Some of you I know were personally affected, and our community was as a whole as well. But it is important even in times, and probably especially in times of crisis, to continue to ponder these circles. This isn't only a method for when it's going well. This is a method for how we can evaluate our role in society, especially in cases when we need to collaborate together to make it better. There is no better time to hold these questions close than when we are in need. What my community needs, what brings me joy, and what I have to offer. Now, in some ways, this set of circles is building off of another recent move in Unitarian Universalism. In the summer of 2024, Unitarian Universalists from across the globe, including some of you here, voted to accept the proposed changes to our bylaws in Article 2 of the UUA bylaws, not the church bylaws. Now, this supported the move from language from the 8 principles towards language about values. We didn't get rid of the principles. They're still there. They're just embedded in different language about values. Now, some of you will recognize what these are: interdependence, pluralism, justice, transformation, generosity, and equity. Now, if I switch those letters around, some of you might remember there's an acronym for them. JETPIG. JETPIG. It doesn't work for everybody, but it clearly helps some people remember it. So, justice, equity, transformation, pluralism, interdependence, and generosity. These values, instead of being a list in order, this is not a list in a numbered order, these values are set around love at the center. They're interwoven into a circle, a series of orbits. Can we see the next slide, please, that look like this? This is an interpretation by some UU designers. Speaking as a flower, or perhaps atomically, if you would prefer, there is no value set above another. Rather, they only function in relationship to the others as it centers love. They are an orbit. Now, the work of these changes in Article 2 also came from somewhere. This is all work happening at the same time. It was a culmination of a multi-year process, maybe even a decade or more, a long process of imagining how to make our community accountable to its members while being ever more inclusive, or ever drawing the circle wider, based on the premise that ours is a life-saving faith. How can we grow in our accountability to one another and also to those who might eventually join us? So the Commission on Institutional Change released a report in 2020 called Widening the Circle of Concern. Are you noticing a pattern with the circles here? That amongst other things, it promoted the adoption of this values-driven language that we have moved towards. This book wrestles with the notion of community of communities that has been put forth by UU theologian Paula Cole-Jones. In short, communities of communities are circles of people who are accountable to themselves and to each other to support every community's mutual thriving. So it is a shift from thinking of our UU institutions as made up of individuals towards an understanding of us as a whole and as groups of people. Cole-Jones suggests this: there is a distinction between circles of communities and distinct authoritative power that's often showing up in language around family systems. It's a move away from that towards circles. And this is how she describes that. She says, so we have lots of different facets of community already in place, and yet we continue to think of our church as a family. So we close that door in a sense because families are, kind of like units, right? I say to people often that families have a hierarchy. You know where the authority is in a family. If we impose that on a community of communities, then basically we're saying to people that the authority channels are very, very narrow. In a family, you know who you can bring home and who you can't, and it's unspoken. And we impose that metaphor on our church. So I think, she goes on to say, so I think that we limit our imagination about growth, about capacity for growth through metaphors, if we stick with that family metaphor. Because metaphors are so powerful, she says. You can use a metaphor and it counters up all sorts of meaning. We need to experiment with and experience the community of communities as a metaphor for how we will organize ourselves and how it will grow. Now, this metaphor of community of and made of communities, these circles of communities, some overlap and some don't, but they are all bound together in the unification towards mission and values, where we put the love at the center, the truth that unites us in our desire for mutual flourishing. Here at this church, we have chosen to live into a different set of circles, the community of communities of leadership, if you will. Away from a system where one person has all of the power, where the hierarchy is linear. We are moving away from that, like a top to bottom thing that looks like a pyramid. And we're moving into a system of circles. This is away from a CEO model of policy governments and towards a shared leadership model. If we could see the third slide, please. And some of you will recognize this next slide because it is in the back page of every board report, which I know you all read every month. So in this model, the three circles of leadership of the church are surrounded by the congregation. We are all united in our mission of this church as defined by our promise, by our covenant of how we will be together. And I know the words are real tiny, but now you know it's at the back of every board report. So the executive branch is accountable to the financial operations of the church, as well as administration, human resources, and the facility itself. The board, as leaders elected by this congregation, is the financially accountable partner and creates and upholds the bylaws, the policies, not the procedures, but the policies of how this church will work. The minister is accountable to worship and music, to faith engagement, to membership and programming, pastoral care, communications, and I maintain a relationship with my colleagues here in Pasadena, my interfaith colleagues, and the broader Unitarian Universalist world. I could not do my work without the board. I could not do my work without the executive director, and that is true for every single one of these circles. So switching to a model wherein collaboration between these circles creates a network of leadership, it doesn't remove accountability to mission. I just want to say that very clearly. At some point in every one of these circles, there is an agreement that there is a point where the buck stops here. There is a backstop, as my colleague, the Reverend Adam Robersmith, terms it. And for those of you who are baseball fans, just think about the net behind the catcher, right? There is a point where we have to remember to be accountable to our mission, and that is through our covenant. That is through our agreement of how we will be together. So make no mistake, prioritizing relational in a community, in living leadership, it is a way to create social change. And it isn't necessarily easier. And it certainly isn't faster. Because it requires constant and intentional community building, conversation, and communication. So I encourage us to consider circles, the humble circle, as really an expansion of a starting point as we grapple with these relational ways of making decisions and holding sacred the role of leadership within this process. As Deepa Iyer says, the social change framework embodies the idea that we are all part of an ecosystem, and that when we come together around shared values and goals and play our roles effectively and collaboratively, we can make our boldest visions a reality. May it be so.
For our final closing hymn, we sing one final round or canon. Please rise in body or in spirit and join us in singing hymn number 413, Go Now in Peace. We will sing it twice through, and once you have sung it twice, just hold the last note and stop.
Go now in peace.
I do love the rounds. There's really something very healing about that, so thank you all. From Deepa Iyer, who says, the belief in the promise of social change through connections is another reason why we keep trying after we feel disappointment, why we keep returning after grieving, why we keep fighting after resting. It is why we keep building after systems fail, why we keep on loving even when we are experiencing heartbreak. It's why we take actions that embody solidarity, resistance, and hope. It's why we infuse our efforts with joy, passion, affirmation, and healing. We intuitively know that something better is blooming, growing, emerging, and we want to be part of that momentum, that stream, that journey.